felony punishable by a year in jail and a $1,000 fine. A peace officer may arrest with or without a warrant on reasonable cause whether or not the underlying charge is true, and with probable cause if it is unregistered. So my recommended action, very politely stated, is after due deliberation, request that your county council look to the city police, which is responsible for investigating crimes in this room, and the district attorney to file charges against Jim Wattenberger. Otherwise, if you fail to do so, what you'll be saying is, hey, this is America. It's okay to carry weapons into this building. If it's okay for a supervisor to have a weapon, what about the citizens? And there needs, because Supervisor Wattenberger's statement was so public and carried so prominently in the press, with the sheriff and everybody saying, hey, it's all right, he was born here, or whatever, that a different message needs to be sent, that law and order and
This is a test of the emergency alert system. If this had been an actual emergency, such as severe weather or failure of the 911 system or other life-threatening condition, an official message would have followed the alert tone. This concludes this test of the emergency alert system.
And it was, I don't know. You know, he said he had one. I never ever seen it.
Mr. Chair, if I might interrupt, normally we request the speakers of the podium, just a reminder.
Yeah. With that, we're going to take a 5-minute break and be back at 10:30, and we'll have a presentation from our emergency services.
When are we going to have closed session?
Right after this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We want to get done by noon, wouldn't that?
Yeah.
Okay, Tom, you want to start this off?
Yes, first I want to start off and thank the Board of Supervisors for making time on short notice for this in your agenda. There is emergency services training that we are required to give to the board every year, and this is a good opportunity to do so. Introduce Bill Woodward from our Office of Emergency Service in the Executive Office, and Bill is here to take you through a rundown of some responsibilities that you have as elected officials, and we'll also introduce some state representatives to you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Board. Again, I want to thank you for the opportunity to come before you and kind of give you an opportunity to have an open dialogue with me and Mr. Mitchell about the Office of Emergency Services. What I would really like to get out of this is for you to have a level of comfort and knowing what you're going to be doing when a disaster hits. What I provided you was a copy of the Ordinance 4168 that created the Office of Emergency Services, and also an elected official's guide to emergency management. And what I'd like to do is kind of go through that a little at a time and give you an opportunity to ask questions of me, and hopefully I'll be able to answer those questions about what the Office of Emergency Services does and what it doesn't do, maybe. So a little background. The ordinance was created about 3 years ago, about 3 years ago, after the Joint Powers Agreement called MESA was dissolved. And with the cooperation of the 4 incorporated cities and the county, the ordinance was written, and roles and responsibilities were assigned. I am the Emergency Services Coordinator. I am charged with the day-to-day activities of making sure this county can respond to a major emergency. my position is often referred to as an emergency manager. Well, I think that's kind of a misnomer, because when I was a firefighter with the city of Ukiah, I handled emergencies on a daily basis and managed those emergencies. What I really call myself as a disaster service manager, because when we have small emergencies, they are handled by the local emergency responders. And as long as they're able to respond and mitigate these emergencies with the resources they have, everything is fine. It's when there are either so many emergencies taking place at the same time, such as the fires that we had this summer, or the one big event that involves the county of Mendocino, then our resources are tapped. And the resources that we have in Mendocino County are quickly overcome. We're not able to respond to this condition, this emergency condition, or this condition of disaster. And what I want to do today is give you an idea of what the process is of managing these emergencies, these disasters, and the methods by which those emergencies or disasters will be handled. It really involves resource management. It involves information management. So, first of all, I'd like to open it up to you. Do you have any questions of me right off the bat? That just something that's come to your mind after reading these documents and looking at this and giving it some thought? Did you have any questions that you wanted to ask of me right off the bat before we jump into the guide itself? No? Okay. Good. Well, if you have the guide in front of you, would like to start off with the 4 phases of emergency management. What I am charged with is preparing this county by way of planning and training to respond to a disaster. I'm also charged with making sure this county can respond to a disaster in an effective way and bring the county back to a position that existed prior to the disaster. This involves recovery, and we're going to talk about recovery from the disasters. Economic recovery is really what this is involving. So you have planning and training prior to the disaster, and then you have response and recovery after the disaster. That's pretty simple. That's pretty basic stuff, but that's what my office does. That's what I do on a daily basis. How are we going to manage the emergencies? The management system that is going to be incorporated or going to be used by Mr. Mitchell and Sheriff Allman to handle these disasters is called the ICS Incident Command System, and it is a system of management that allows you to flex your management needs. It can be used in the smallest of incidents. I used it as a firefighter, used it every day in the management of the small incidents. It can be then expanded to handle very, very large, complex incidents. Those of you who were here during the fires, if you took a little visit over to the fairgrounds when CAL FIRE's Management Team 4 was in full swing, you can see how complex the management style is for this type of incident. Very large, complex incident. The management style, though, is very, very simple, and it has some really basic tenets to it. That one of those is a span of control. You don't want to have one person being responsible for more than 5 to 7 people. You don't want to have more than 5 to 7 people reporting to you. You want to